So the truth is that you have been trying to smash. I have the proof.
She said she got the proof.
This is my first time actually reading the text, and I just feel like this is beneath.
Betrayal enters the room without knocking. Think about the two women, Jasmine and Rashida, who are linked by a single male. Kirk Frost is standing directly in front of you in a tense atmosphere, upending everything you believe to be true. Jasmine makes a shocking revelation. When she first looks at Jasmine, her mind is rushing to form associations. Kirk Frost's secret relationship with Jasmine and the child's sudden claim directly damaged Rashida's sense of loyalty and trust. The tension grew as Jasmine insisted on her version of events and refused to back down, demanding explanations and anything to make sense of the chaos that had suddenly blown into her life. I have a baby, and Kirk Frost is behaving like he's Rashida's father. The story had to be heard, and they were never one to back down. Jasmine shot back at Rashida's glaring gaze without flinching, pointing out that Kirk Frost was the one who made his own decisions and was accountable. She felt rash enough to feel the need to hear her own story. I didn't make him do anything. Someone took action to get them to this point. Every word fueled the emotional flames, creating a heated atmosphere. You knew what you were getting into, and you decided to participate, Rashida retorted. If you're mad, be mad at him, Jasmine said. You think you are innocent because he came to me and made the promises. Since the two women who were Kirk Frost's victims each employed different tactics to maintain their places, Rashida refused to let a sign change the course of events. Kirk Frost's frequent public humiliations of Rashida stoked her ire, but ultimately betrayal and Jasmine's defiance overcame it. According to Jasmine, Kirk Frost made her feel like more than just a supporting character by pursuing her. Rashida lost her temper and gave Jasmine a forceful slap. As Rashida's anger began to boil over the betrayal and hit too deeply, Jasmine not only stumbled back in shock, but also refused to back down when the sound reverberated throughout the room.
That's what that says. And now you going back on your word after I signed the release form for Cannon. I take you back to court. Don't play with me. You didn't ask me to cash after you no extra money towards the rent. I just did it out of the kindness of my heart because I knew you were behind trying to help you. That wasn't no extra money. That was what you're supposed to be giving me anyway since we agreed to whatever the number is.
Rash should have believed that things couldn't get any worse when Kirk entered the commotion and aftermath of the altercation, but he was completely mistaken to believe that he could make things better by receiving more attention. Explain this, Kirk, Rashida said to him after growing irritated. How did we get here? She asked, gesturing to Jasmine. Once more, Kirk's attempts to defend himself were unsuccessful, and his arguments were phony and unconvincing. Stated something about being in a difficult circumstance or feeling misunderstood, but Rashida remained depressed and angry. This was a betrayal that caused her to doubt everything about their relationship, not just another error. Her sadness wasn't simply because Kirk was a man who made errors. It was also because he had consistently ignored their marriage. Their entire family was affected, even their children, who now had to deal with the fallout from Kirk's decisions. Fans of Longtime Love and Hip Hop Atlanta would recall the entire DNA test drama when Rashida was forced to confront Kirk's adultery in public after Kirk fathered a child with a different woman. Flashbacks struck her like a bad movie reel, reminding her that Kirk had previously led their marriage into chaos. Millions of people pleaded for forgiveness, but Rashida refused to accept it. She said, "This isn't about forgiveness anymore. It's about respect, which you obviously don't have for me or this family." Had attempted to save many disasters, this betrayal being only the most recent.
On the text messages. Is that what we got going on? Because the fact that I'm even sitting here, even listening to this, is beneath me. And I'm sick and tired of it. Straight up. What is up?
After their massive blow-up, Rashida was stung hard by all Kirk had done over the years, including the whole paternity controversy from season 3 of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. She had gradually lost faith in Kirk because of his lengthy history of deception. One of the main plot lines of the show was the public disaster that resulted from Kirk being pregnant with someone else while they were married. Rashida attempted to lessen the pain by concentrating on their family and the things they had created together. But once the DNA test validated the suspicions, she was forced to face the truth of his adultery in front of cameras and come to terms with the consequences of forgiving. Standing in the wake of yet another betrayal, she couldn't help but question whether it was time to call it quits on the relationship. She struggled to decide whether it was worth it to stay in a relationship that had hurt her so deeply, or if she should go on and put her happiness first. She had been managing all the public turmoil while balancing her roles as a wife, mother, and businesswoman. After things had calmed down, Kirk had to deal with more than just an angry wife, and he gradually began to see that he might have overreached himself this time. Rashida's response was one of sorrow instead of anger, and it was evident that she was carried out as he could see it in her eyes and hear it in her voice. Word got out that she was considering leaving, not just talking about it. Rashida's posts were inundated with comments asking her to leave, reminding her of her worth, and reminding her that she deserves more. Supporters flocked around her to offer encouragement and to criticize Kirk for his conduct. Meanwhile, there were rumors of a divorce circulating, and Kirk was being criticized for his frequent errors. Kirk felt quite alone when he realized that Rashida, who was renowned for her strength and grace, was suddenly receiving support from friends and admirers. The thought of losing not just his wife, but everything they had created together began to consume him. Supporters and friends pushed Rashida to put herself first, and the topic of discussion changed from if they would live to whether Rashida was finally ready to continue despite his wrongdoings. Rashida was his pillar of support, and now he had to face the risk that she would decide to go, leaving him to handle the consequences on his own. One thing became evident to Rashida as she weighed her options. This was about more than just Kirk now. It was about her future, her family, and her value as a human being. She had repeatedly fought for their marriage, but now she had to decide if it was still worth it.
Worth the fight.
Let me talk to you, Jazz.
Whatever.
So what's the deal?
Honestly, let me say this. Me and you haven't really had any type of communication like this ever before. I feel like maybe me and you need to open up a communication line instead of him, me and him. Maybe it will be better that way.
You just told me my husband trying to you, and then you telling me you want to open up a communication line with me?
I mean,
Are you kidding me?
There was nothing left to save Rashida and Kirk's relationship after the most recent betrayal, despite years of attempting to patch things up. It weighed heavily on all the hurt they had endured, and their last talk was somber and solemn. Speaking one more time, Rashida looked directly ahead and said, "I deserve better." Her words were powerful. She informed Amber that she had finally reached her breaking point in a composed and assured manner. It was just the truth, not a matter of regret or revenge. Desperate and broken, Kirk pleaded with her for forgiveness, but his pleas were in vain. No amount of apology could restore the lost trust, but he wanted her to stay and give him another chance. Fans are curious about what this unstoppable lady will do as she ends her chapter and prepares to start a new phase of self-discovery, strength, and independence. Her marriage was closed. Brash was acting for herself, not for Kirk or their family, and not for anyone else. So this time she ought to have turned around and walked away without turning around. When she realized how valuable she was and that there was no going back, she inhaled deeply. Rasa is a strong woman, but someone once said that even strong women have their breaking point. Since Kirk has been mistreating her for years, it's time for her to put herself first. She is so deserving of better. Another individual said, "I'm proud of Rashida for finally leaving and staying." It's exhausting to stay in a dysfunctional relationship for family reasons, and she's leading by example for many onlookers. According to a third admirer, Kirk genuinely thought he could continue playing recklessly, and she never departs. I sincerely hope she doesn't look back, but this should serve as a wake-up call for him. With her marriage gone, fans are eager to see if Rashida will prioritize her work, her family, or possibly begin an exciting new chapter. She has always been a force to be reckoned with, and she is more committed than ever to continuing on her current path. There are countless options, and her indisputable strength will surely lead her, whether or not she seizes this opportunity to launch her career, profession, or chooses to prioritize her kids, providing her family with a new sense of security and peace. Please let me know your thoughts on Rasheeda's decision. Was confronting Perk at last the correct move? Not only about her, but also about getting others the confidence to stand up for what they are entitled to. It's about proving that it's not only acceptable, but also essential to let go for your happiness and well-being. Rasheeda is an inspiration, and anyone caught in a toxic relationship may learn a lot from her courageous choice to put herself first and leave what wasn't working.